it's Rebecca and today is another book review day, and this is my September book, I think, for the Wordy Birds reading challenge. I will leave links down below to explain what the challenge is about, but my friend Jane and I are the Wordy Birds on East Point Radio, and we have a show every fortnight on a Monday, and we put out a reading challenge to read 12 books over the year, and each month is a different category and we talk about it on the radio show. So like I say, I think this was September's category. It's been a very long time. I've been very busy and not able to do any videos. Apologies. So it was to read a children's book. So I have been reading Fizzlebert, Stump, the boy who ran away from the circus and joined the library by A.F. Harrold. So I will read you the blurb and then talk to you about the book. Once and once only there was a boy whose name was Fizzlebert. Fizzlebert Stump lives in a travelling circus. He hangs around with acrobats, plays the fool with clowns, and puts his head in a lion's mouth every night. But it can be a bit lonely being the only kid in the circus. So one day Fizz decides to join a library, and that's when it all goes terribly wrong. A story of a boy, a book, some very bad people, some very brave deeds, and the importance of rubber teeth for lions. So I've been meaning to read Fizzlebert Stump for a very long time. A.F. Harrold is a brilliant author, poet, strange man. We met him at Felixstowe Book Festival months back, and I've read some of his books and I've seen him perform his poetry live, and he's a very peculiar man, and I was looking forward to reading his children's books because he's weird, and I imagined the books being weird, and they have a very similar feel to the Lemony Snickett series of unfortunate events, where you as the reader are being involved in the story. So every now and then the narrator will turn and talk to you, which I think is really, really good, because it's nice to feel like you're a part of everything and that you're seeing things and trying to guess things and work things out and all that kind of stuff. So I really liked that approach to the story. So just a quick overview of the story. Fizzlebert Stump, bless him, has a really strange name, but he doesn't think he's that strange because he lives in a circus. His parents are part of the circus act. I think his dad's a strong man and his mum's an acrobat. It was a very long time ago I read it, so I do apologise if that's wrong. And he helps out in the show by putting his head in the lion's mouth, and he does all like weird things within the circus, but he also has to have lessons. And one evening after a performance, a lot of kids come up to him and say that they really enjoyed the show and really enjoyed what he did and wanted to become his friend. And because Fizzlebert, bless him, is very young and very naive and only knows adults, he doesn't know children, he doesn't go to school, says, yeah, that's great, we can be friends. And then they ask him what his name is, and he says Fizzlebert Stump. And as we all know, kids can be cruel, and they all laugh at him because of his name, because it's very strange and very silly and they don't understand. And Fizzlebert gets very upset, doesn't understand, he doesn't understand himself what's happening because he's never experienced anything like this. He's not been to school, he's not experienced bullying, so that's all very, very strange. But he does find that one of the boys has dropped a library book. And in the morning when he has his lessons with his teacher, he explains that he's found this library book. He doesn't know what to do with it. And his teacher says, well, you need to take it back to the library. And Fizzlebert is like, oh my goodness, I don't know what a library is. This is really peculiar. So he manages to go into town on his own, find the library, take the book back, and he's just overawed by the library, which everybody should be. Rooms and rooms and rooms and shelves and shelves and shelves of books that you can take home and read. Surely that has to be a joy for anybody. If anybody doesn't like a library, then I'm sorry, I just don't get it. I don't understand how people can not like libraries. And he finds a book he wants to read and he takes it to the librarian and he asks if he can buy it because he doesn't understand how libraries work. And I just find that so sweet and cute, and I like that naivety in children where they just don't understand and everything that's new and exciting is just something you want to savour. And he's told that he needs to get a library card and that he needs his parents, and he didn't bring his parents with him, so he goes outside very sad and he meets two weird looking people. They're a bit dirty, they're a bit old, they're a bit smelly, and they're called Mr. and Mrs. Stinkthrottle. And a little bit of this does remind me of Roald Dahl as well. Not completely. I don't want to compare this to Roald Dahl because we know Roald Dahl is all the way up here and you can't really compare. But just some of the names, some of the words, some of the imagery is quite Roald Dahl-esque. But if you wanted to write strange children's fiction, you do have to use Roald Dahl's inspiration. Anyway, Mr. and Mrs. Stinkthrottle say that they'll go into the library, pretend to be Fizzlebert's parents, and sign him up for a library card. And then Fizzlebert finds out that Mr. and Mrs. Stinkthrottle aren't the nice people that he thought they were. Now, I don't want to say any more because that will give away a big bit of the story. But when you read this, you will realise that this title isn't completely accurate. And I won't say any more, but it's very difficult. But I did enjoy it. It wasn't the greatest children's book I've ever read, but it was fun. And I think with children's books, you have to have fun. With any books, you have to have fun. You have to enjoy yourselves. And it was fun. It was silly. There are bits where I kind of didn't really laugh, and there were bits where I did laugh. And there is a series, and I will read the rest of them because I think Fizzlebert is a great character. He's a boy that you can really kind of sympathise with, and it takes you back to a more innocent time of childhood, and you kind of taken back to a time when you were fascinated by the world, and things that you thought were strange were normal for somebody else, and vice versa. And it's all very light-hearted, although dark in some places, which I think you also need in children's books, which again, the Roald Dahl, Lemony, Snickett kind of comparisons come in. So I did enjoy this. I will read the other books in the series at some point. A.F. Harrold is definitely somebody that you should look out for if you can see him live. Absolutely fantastic, really peculiar man, but really good. Really enjoyed the book. So very glad that we had a category for children's books because, you know, I don't really read many of those. Anyway, have a good day and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.